everybody. This is Brooke from Fascia Freedom Fighters. Welcome. I'm very excited today to be talking with my teacher, Jill Miller. You are the co-founder of Tune-Up Fitness Worldwide, the creator of Yoga Tune-Up. And I'm really excited to get to chat with you in this
Likewise.
now. So before we go into talking all kinds of good body nerd stuff, I just want to, give people a flavor of what I mean when I say Tune-Up Fitness Worldwide and Yoga Tune-Up, because I have the benefit of being one of your students and one of the teachers of that. But you got a lot going on. You've got a lot of teachers out there. You want to talk a bit about the team you're putting together and the work you're doing?
Great. Thanks for having me, Brooke. I love what you're doing. I love this whole concept of fascia freedom fighters because somebody's got to liberate their connective tissue, don't you think?
I do.
So, yes, I have a program called Yoga Tune-Up, and this is a format that I've created over the last, really it's a lifetime accumulation of best movement practices. Mm-hmm. And what we focus on in Yoga Tune-Up are the 3 Ps: pain, posture, and performance. We help people to eradicate pain, improve posture, and enhance performance, no matter what your thing is, to live better in your body.
Yeah.
And we do this using a combination of yoga, conscious corrective exercise, self-care using Yoga Tune-Up therapy balls, and I see some in your bookshelf behind you.
Yes.
Which is a great thing. You never be far away from your balls.
Over here and gorgeous balls everywhere in my office.
Yeah, sometimes you need a tool to get in there and do the thing that the movement isn't doing for you or what you may be bypassing in your movement. So we use a combination of yoga, conscious corrective exercise, self-care with the balls, and a variety of stress reduction techniques to help people find and heal your body blind spots. And body blind spots are your catalyst for injury, and everybody has them. Right? These are the areas of your body that are overused or underused or misused or totally abused or confused.
Yeah.
And all of that missing stuff, all those blind spots, that confusion is that we actually don't propriocept these areas very well. A proprioception is your body's sense of itself. It's your ability to locate tissues. And if you are unable to locate tissues, it's very hard to get them to do what you want them to do.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really good at helping to teach people skills of waking up their tissues so that they can use them better, no matter what it is they like to do. And these are teachable methods, and our teachers teach this, and it's just an incredible way of helping people to wake up to the amazingness that is the human body and their potential.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up because I think that, it is exactly what it sounds like, body blind spots. Like a blind spot is when you're in your car and your rearview mirror is not set up right, you think that lane is totally clear, but it's not totally clear. It's literally, you can't see it. And so I think because of that, obviously, but it's not so obvious to those of us who haven't heard that term before, we are living in bodies where we don't realize what we're not propriocepting, what we're not aware of. And so your work is a really important piece for teaching people that happens and how they can get in there. I always describe it, the reason why I fell in love with your work and why I teach it is it's teaching people how to Rolf themselves. Or teaching people how to build integrity in their bodies on their own from the inside out.
Right.
And obviously you do that a lot with all this really smart movement stuff. And I just want to say to people, like, you're one of the most insatiably, wonderfully curious people I've ever met in my life, which translates to, like, you get into, like, a movement. You can pick something like Warrior 2, something that's pretty straightforward in the yoga world, and you just, like, ferret out the nooks and crannies until, like, a million new amazing discoveries have been made. So it's worth getting through Yoga Tune-Up.
You have to disassemble your movement to see where you're broken on the inside. And this isn't a bad thing. This is like, it's amazing to find out where you've gone blind or deaf or dumb or numb to yourself. It's really exciting. It's an exciting journey, and it just makes you better. It makes you more comfortable in your own tissues.
Yeah. And you don't realize what that means until you get comfortable again, and it's like life changes.
That's right. It is life-changing, and I work with a lot of people who are in very deep pain conditions, on a lot of medication, addicted to painkillers, and work very, very carefully, waking up proprioception with these folks, minimizing pain, and eventually eradicating it and awakening their ability to self heal. Yeah. The number of people who are thrown to the dogs with their conditions, and by thrown to dogs, look, I love doctors. My dad's a doctor. Thank God for Western medicine, but movement medicine is very potent and it works. And I think that more often than not, people get the runaround and are not given the opportunity to first fix how they're moving before they're putting Band-Aids on it with medications or other, or surgeries. I think of my mother right now, who for 5 months, she has been given the runaround with horrible, horrible pain down her arms. Pain down her arms, nerve pain, she can't move her shoulders. And her first doctor that she went to was her dermatologist. And I'm like, you got pain in your arms, you went to your dermatologist? And she said, yeah, because it's my psoriatic arthritis. And long story short, they put her on Remicade. They put her on an cancer infusion medication to deal with her psoriatic arthritis. Of course, it didn't work. It made her sicker. And then she went up the chain and up the chain. They finally did an MRI on her neck. And of course, she had...
It's amazing. It took that long.
No,
like
they were
pain
treating her for a skin condition when she's got radiating pain down her arms. After the MRI, it was clear she has stenosis and she has a lot of degeneration. I mean, my mother has held her head like this as long as I've known her. And look, I make a lot of my videos and I dedicate them to my mother. I dedicate them to different people in my family. And my mother has them wrapped in plastic. They look beautiful on her shelf. But they haven't been open. And I know that there are lots of other mamas and papas and grandmamas and grandpapas and brothers and sisters out there who are benefiting from the healing that I'm attempting to share with my own mother. But long story short, Mom is now finally, 5 months later, been given a PT prescription, physical therapy 3 times a week. Her first session, she felt better. First session.
Amazing. Yeah. And I love that term that you use, movement medicine. And it's true. People do often feel remarkably better when they just choose or find ways to live differently and move differently in their bodies.
And we have the opportunity to intercept those movement patterns now. We can stand in the way. We can advocate for ourselves now by just making a better choice in how you're standing.
Doesn't have to become stenosis and pain radiating down your arms. Yeah. Right. And one of the ways that you're different, or your method is different, is that you use the therapy balls this is a extremely small portion of my therapy ball collection, but you use self-myofascial release in your work, which is really different, obviously, from any other form of yoga. So I just wanted to have you speak to that a bit.
When I first started practicing yoga, well, I was 11 years old when I started practicing. I was the weird kid. I'm still the weird kid, and I'm happy with that. I let my imagination do its thing, especially when I'm working with clients who have gotten the runaround and gotten the shuffle from doctor to doctor. It's like, well, what is everybody missing here? When I first started doing yoga, I was as tight as everybody else. I couldn't touch my toes. I was in a lot of pain. Most of the pain that I was in, though, was emotional pain. I had a gnarly childhood, as many of us do, was taken from home to home, no control, a lot of fighting, and just bad news stuff that many people would be arrested for, but nobody has, which is, thank God. Right. That's for the memoir. So I started getting into my body at around age 11, 12. My mother brought home the Jane Fonda workout, and she also brought home the Raquel Welch yoga video. And I was a very sedentary kid. I was the thinker, I was the reader, I was the TV watcher, and I was the eater. and I was pretty chunky, and just didn't have a sense of my body at all. And when she brought these videos home, it was something that we did together for about 2 weeks, and then she then she got bored. But I
Right.
became obsessed. I became absolutely obsessed, and I would not run home, I'd walk home after school every day, and I would do both videos back to back. And it literally woke something up in me and woke up this inner drive for movement and pleasure. And it soothed me. It gave me relief from the emotional stress. Fast forward to college. I'm 19. I'm studying dance and movement, and I'm studying massage on the side at a shiatsu school in Evanston, Illinois. I went to Northwestern, and I ended up finding my way to the Omega Institute for Holistic Studies in upstate New York, which is an amazing park for adults who love health and wellness and transformation. So I found myself there at 19, and that's where I met my mentor. My mentor's name is Glenn Black. He's sort of a recluse yogi. Not a lot of people know about him. Actually, he probably wouldn't be too happy with me calling him a yogi now. But he specializes in human movement, and he does a hands-on therapeutic modality called body tuning. Body tuning is an incredible physical therapy approach developed by a gentleman named Shmuel Tatz, who has a clinic in New York City. And when I would take yoga classes with Glenn in the morning, in the early morning up there at Omega for the staff, there'd be like 5 or 6 of us, very small classes, early in the morning. And we'd be doing this, and he would be disgusted with how we were doing a pose. And so he would throw us down on the ground, and I'm saying that in a kind way, because he's never aggressive, but put us down on the ground, and then he would start doing body tuning on us. And the body tuning work, this soft tissue work, also included a lot of joint movement, a lot of mobilization techniques, a lot of different grabby type of things, which I now know is skin rolling. It creates a shear force on the connective tissues. But he would be working all of our layers to help us gain awareness in the tissues that he wanted us to become aware of. So he'd work on us, and then he'd make us work on each other so that we could replicate what was done to us. And then he'd throw us back into the poses and have us utilize the tissues that have now been proprioceptively stimulated and awakened. Yeah. And all of a sudden our practices improved. So from an early age, I always saw that soft tissue work was intertwined with your physical practice, whatever that was. Because a lot of times we wouldn't even be doing yoga. He would just be teaching us how to crawl or how to walk or how to walk silly. I mean, we just did crazy stuff, rolling. But we weren't using balls. And so over the course of many years, I moved out to Los Angeles. I just couldn't find a body worker who did the type of work to me that Glenn did. And I had to figure out ways to get into my own tissues the way my teacher did. And hence the development of yoga tune-up therapy balls and the many different derivatives of those balls so that I could precisely create movement scenarios with those tools so that I could get the type of work that worked. Yeah. And then I started to share it with my students in classes, started to do it on scale in rooms of one-on-one, then rooms of 20-on-1, and up to rooms of hundreds on with me guiding, and it works. And we see the results everywhere. And because of that, Equinox Fitness Clubs, which is a major international fitness club brand, has invited me in to create a therapy ball program for them system-wide, and actually launches in June. I guess by the time this airs, those classes will be rolling.
That's great. No pun intended.
Puns
well, I know
intended.
That for me, yeah, I know. I know you intend your puns.
I love my ball jokes.
Yeah, who doesn't love a good ball joke? Well, for me, it's been tremendously helpful. I'm a Rolfing practitioner. A lot of people who check in on the site know that, but it's going on 13 years as a manual therapist now, and I don't think I would be able to continue practicing at the volume that I do with the number of clients that I see if I didn't have yoga tune-up in my life and if I didn't have the therapy balls to use. I mean, just little snippets of time spent working on myself. It's been really life altering for me for
Well,
my
it's
own
hard to
maintenance.
have permanent access to a gifted rolfer like yourself, and it's
Yeah, it's
expensive,
like
right? So,
I
I
don't
mean,
have the kind of money to have the live-in therapist.
you need to be able to find somebody as good as you to work on you, and lo and behold, it's you. You know,
Right. It's a beautiful thing.
it's
Just
you. And
cool.
so,
And
right,
then, like you said, the sophisticated movement scenarios where people can actually use them in thoughtful ways. So it's not just grab a ball and stick it and blah blah. It's really thoughtful the way you put together the programming.
yeah, and I mean, bottom line, you can be totally intuitive with these tools. You can be
Yeah.
intuitive with the couch. You know, I have my way with
Hmm.
couches all the time. I get on the couch and I do my little my kitten scruffy dance, trying to create as
Right.
much movement as I can. If you can use
Yeah.
anything, but there are there are techniques that change you neurologically. There are techniques
Yeah.
that help to decohere conditions in soft tissues that they don't have to be the domain behind a clinician's door. These are
Hmm.
things that anybody can do for themselves to make their bodies better. And I really want to help everybody, no matter what their physical condition or no matter what their movement practices, to be able to have access to themselves. Your body is not the domain of this doctor or that doctor or the other doctor. You know, we got a
Right.
doctor for the nose, we got a doctor for the inside of our throat, we have doctors for our bones and for this thing and the other thing. And you're not off limits to yourself. It's not their right to touch you there exclusively. You can
Yeah.
touch yourself there, and you can affect so many different changes in your tissues and changes in, and when you're changing your tissues, of course, you're changing your mind. You're affecting the whole scape of your
Yeah.
system. And this is true empowerment, giving people their
It
bodies
is.
back, because it's
Yeah.
been taken away from us. And insurance
Yeah.
companies want to take it away from us.
Yes,
It's
they do.
horrible.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed. And just
It's your
one
right.
last thing I want to.
Yes,
What'd you say?
it's your right. It's your
Yes.
right. You came in with
I
it.
love
You're
it.
going to go out with it. Don't let anybody take anything at you. And
Right.
you can prevent that from happening by treating your tissues better.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And I have here in my notes that you were at the Fascia Congress, which those of you who are watching, feel free to Google it, but it's like the premier place right now on the cutting edge of fascial research. And you were the only yoga teacher presenting at the Fascial Congress.
The Fascia
That's what I've
Congress
heard.
happened in Vancouver in
Uh-huh.
2012 in March.
Well,
And, you know, I work with a lot of people in chronic pain. And I decided that I would submit a case study to them of a client of mine who I've been working with for many years, who suffers from a disease called hereditary sensory motor neuropathy, also known as Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease. It's a peripheral nervous system disease where all of the appendages, the nerves waste. They become unmyelinated, and so you totally lose function in your hands, in your forearms, your ankles, lower legs. It's a withering disease, and because all these nerves become unmyelinated, all you feel is pain. It's one of these diseases where people are just on pain meds their entire life. Many people have surgeries in order to prevent their feet from dropping. And so the client that I work with, he had that surgery when he was a teenager. He came to me in very, very deep emotional duress. His therapist, his psychologist actually, and his psychiatrist told him he needed to learn how to relax. And so somehow he found me on the web and we started working together. Now, when I met him, he was on the highest doses of narcotics, legal narcotics you can get, fentanyl, acid reflux medication, urinary incontinence medication, sleep medication, anti-anxiety I mean, everything. And he was a mess. He was a mess, and
Yeah.
he couldn't walk with his head on his rib cage, total C-slump, and in absolute agony. He was in emotional pain and he was in physical pain. I met him when he was 40. Over the course of the next 4 years of working with him, and we still work together, we're at almost at year 7 now, but by year 4, he decided, without me even prompting him, to stop wearing his leg braces. He wanted to wear regular shoes. And I was able to help him create enough strength so that now he wears lace-up shoes that he can lace himself with his fingers. And his doctors told him, you will never be able to button your shirt. You will never be able to find that thenar eminence and have an opposable thumb. He can pick up pennies off the ground now. He can roll over in bed without, he can roll over in bed. Like, just think about that he couldn't roll over in bed before. He's lost 60 pounds. And I got him, we got him, he and I, through what we do together, got him off of fentanyl, got him off of the narcotics. Wow. And this is pretty notable. And so I submitted his study, or the case study, to the Fascia Congress, and they invited me to present it to the conference. So it was a huge honor, especially since I'd never been involved with that particular body before, that body of researchers. And so I got to meet, of course, all the kings of fascia that fascinate me. And in particular, getting to meet Robert Schleip has been amazing. Yeah. He's just an amazing person. And a lot of the experience I had in being able to talk fluidly about fascia has come from the several cadaver labs that I've done with Gil Headley, and the relationship that I have with him. I consider him my anatomy mentor. And it's just been an incredible journey to have that empirical evidence of being able to disassemble bodies and then help human beings to reassemble themselves within the context of yoga tune-up or the context of the teaching that I do. And the gentleman that I work with now, his life is completely turned upside down in the most beautiful way. Because now he knows that he can treat himself instead of have to put on another patch or instead of have to pop oxy. He knows that he can do certain breathing strategies, certain positional things to help quell his nervous system before he makes a call to American Express to chew somebody out. He can do different things with his physical state and his emotional state to immediately make change so that he is no longer dependent on meds.
Yeah, powerful. Movement medicine, like you said, is powerful stuff.
And movement medicine is free socialized medicine.
Right.
It really is. It's so easy to make change in your body. Everybody's like, what are the quick fixes? Do you have 5 quick fix tips? It's like, put your feet, point them forward, right underneath your hips, bring your rib cage over your pelvis and your brain over your heart. That takes 4 seconds. It's free, no equipment required. And then guess what? Take a deep breath. Now you've activated it. Very good. That's the quickest fix. And if you master that basic, everything else will follow.
I completely agree. And it sounds simple if anyone's going like, it's
profound. But if my clients who are crippled, for lack of a better word, can make the change, then Joe Schmo and Jane Schmo and your mama and your grandpa can do it, because it's never too late to regenerate your body. Your body loves to regenerate. It's built to change. It's built for change. We just have to give it some discipline and apply our best conscious will towards that. Be vigilant. You will make change.
That's the guiding quote of my whole work life is, it's never too late to be what you might have been. It's never too late.
and it's right now. Right now at that moment. Is everybody watching? Are you standing at your standing desk? Right? I'm standing at my standing desk. Right. Brooke, I think you're sitting, actually. And I've got a yoga tune-up ball. One of the reasons why you see me shifting is because I've got a yoga tune-up ball underneath my feet, and I'm doing a little self-massage. I'm stimulating myself while we're talking, and it keeps me alive. It keeps me fluid. Keeps my fascias hydrated, happy, and sensing.
Beautiful. And just the last thing I want to get in before I let you go your merry way is, because I think this is really important. And you, like you said, this system that you've created is applicable across any sphere, broken bodies, competitive athletes, and across a wide variety of disciplines. But you're born out of the yoga and bodywork world. And one of the things that I really admire about you and that I think is important to get out in the yoga world is that you have a practice of retiring poses. And so I just wanted to have you speak to that a little bit, because I think that's an important message.
Well, I'm not in my Hall of Fame room where I have photos of just obscene ranges of motion in my body, things
I'm
that really
sure.
should be off limits and illegal. Um, I,
Cirque du
I,
Soleil, Cirque du Soleil.
well, I used to think that I was hypermobile. I mean, so
Mm-hmm.
when I first started practicing, it took a while, but when I started stretching, my God, I was the person in the front row. I was thrown all around in all manner of positions because I had this unbelievable range of motion in my joints. So I was always the demo girl. And of course, I loved that. I loved that attention. I loved being the one who could show everybody how to, get their foot all the way,
Right.
to their forehead and whatnot. And, uh, but at the same time, when it was in my mid-20s and I was doing an Ashtanga practice, I was like hardcore. I was a fanatic. Let's just everybody understand. I am passionate and I'm obsessive. And so that is a deadly combination, especially when it comes to trying to improve your joint range of motion, because you can blow past your sense mechanism. And that's one of the reasons why I focus so hard on proprioception, because I had overstretched myself to the degree that I couldn't sense myself. And I would wake up in the morning after, when I started doing Ashtanga practice, I would wake up in the morning and I could not straighten my knees. I would get out of bed, unable to open my knees, and they hurt. And I would walk over to the bathroom like an old lady. I was old before my time, and I had done it to myself. And I didn't realize that the practice was hurting me.
Yeah.
So I gave up Anga, which was a good thing. And my knees came back. But what I know now about being able to sense joint congruency and being able to sense ranges of motion for my body that are normal and that don't push me past a range that I can no longer stabilize or sense. What's happened is there are many yoga poses that I simply don't do anymore because I feel that they are full of jeopardy for the body. I also want to be an example for my students and the teachers that work with me that they shouldn't be doing a lot of poses. There's a lot of poses that are creating massive structural problems. And I think that there's a sort of a cover-up going on, because there are many teachers of a certain age, and that is a little over age 50, over age 60, many, many hip replacements, shoulder surgeries, spine surgeries, neck surgeries. And the myth is that, if you're watching yourself breathe, you can't possibly get hurt, which is not true. Your ability to breathe in and out is not the only measurement of whether you're doing damage to your body. And so while breathing is a great concentration tool, and of course breath is the primal movement from inside out, we need to help our students understand how they're holding themselves all the time, no matter what posture they're doing, whether they're just standing, whether they're walking, whether they're sitting, to be able to better assess what is healthy for them. So many postures blow you past ranges that are sort of in a safety zone of being able to stabilize. And whether you can take deep ujjayi breaths there or not is not going to be the factor that 5 years down the road or 15 years down the road precipitates thinning of your disc tissue or thinning of your joint capsules. Your breath isn't going to be telling you that yet. What you have to learn is how to propriocept your body so that you can best determine the safest, most stable positions for you. And so I've been retiring poses as I've aged myself. And could I do them again? Probably, if I decided to consistently overstretch the way I used to overstretch. But it doesn't give me pleasure anymore. What gives me pleasure is being able to have my head over my rib cage and having my rib cage over my pelvis, and to be able to honor and respect my spine and my nervous system. And I want you and everybody else to give that a chance. Give that a chance first to be as impeccable as possible. And then let that follow you into the rest of your postures.
Yeah. Amen. I just want to keep shouting hallelujah and amen as you're talking.
Did I just lose you, Brooke?
Oh, I can see me, but I don't know if you can
Brooke?
See me. You have lost me. Well, if Jill can't see me, I'm going to wrap up, everyone, since I was going to do that anyway. But thank you so much to the divine Jill Miller. And you can find out a lot more about her and her great program at yogatuneup.com. Can you see me now, Jill? Or am I still, I'm still Mr.
Yeah, no, I can see you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. For a second, you lost me. And in that moment, I was saying that I was going to wrap up anyhow because I didn't know if we're having tech issues. We've been battling the tech gods. But thank you so much for talking with me and just for doing the amazing work that you do and bringing it into the world.
It's been a pleasure, and to your viewers that you've been a great teacher for me. I've stolen hands-on techniques from you. I use the balls instead of your hands because I can't afford to fly you in here every time I want to have a good rolfing session. And one of the moves on the Gorgeous video, which is my inside-out rework your core tissues, your diaphragm, your transverse abdominals, your sternals, rework yourself from inside out. One of the moves on there is dedicated to you. It's called Rib Rock, and it's been a lifesaver for my thoracic spine. And the erector strain of very quickly lifting a piece of luggage into the overhead bin.
Which you never do. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Jill's on the road constantly. For those who are wondering what I'm referring to. You can find her all over the place.
Find me on the map. Just put a pin in it. That's where I am.
Indeed. Indeed. Well, thank you, Jill. Have a great day.
Thank you.